Hi, good afternoon. It's Kelly. Today is Friday, February 13, 2026, and I'm going to do a reading for you. Today's theme, the title of today's reading is going to be called Neighborhood Watch. Okay, and that is what is going on right now in 2026, but I'm also going to relate it back to, the very beginning of when, I guess you could say, people started recording witches and witchcraft and sort of burning at the stake and going on witch hunts and things like that. So I don't know the year. I haven't done any research about that. That's just, kind of the time period where I'm going to start is when, witch hunts became a really big and real event that happened where innocent people were sacrificed and burned, and it was really religious, really intense, and these people suffered horrific and painful torture up until their deaths. Okay, and then I'm going to relate it. This is, again, called Neighborhood Watch. So I'm going to relate it all the way to now, which is year 2026, and it's still called Neighborhood Watch. Okay, so you're thinking the theme is if we're going to start it to when, back when people started doing witch hunts, okay? That's like a he said, she said, it's her type of thing. But you have to realize that that was definitely all a lie. So the people that they hurt, the majority, I would say 99.9% of the people that they hurt were innocent, okay? And then anyone else that was hurt was kind of like you have to take one for the team. And that would be at a certain point where they were already guilty, but they were getting to the certain point where the abusers are running out of food, so they sacrifice one of their own, okay? So these people know what they're doing. And what they do is they're stealing from the innocent that they're, accusing of being witches. So that's really important. I'm shuffling on camera today. I hope you guys don't mind. Hopefully it's not too loud, but I am limited on time. So they're stealing from these men and women. They're not only stealing, so they're stealing their integrity by completely ruining their lives, but they're also stealing all of their family belongings, all of their assets, and then they're dividing those families up and torturing the families. So when you're talking about the beginning of the churches and people starting to suffer from attack from that, like I'm saying, that's why it's called Neighborhood Watch Your Neighbor. So you're talking like at first, it's from a larger church, but then they come into smaller towns, and then it spreads through a smaller town, and everybody's scared and on the lookout for someone just sort of that seems odd or different, and then that person is usually targeted. So you have the women, okay, and the women usually are following the men. So the women are going to be quiet, and the men make the laws. So so the women are kind of doing the accusing. They're on the neighborhood watch. Their voice is more in the place of wanting to tear apart the innocent and be the one who makes the scene and really tear down the other person in front of other people. And then you have the men, who are typically someone who works, in law enforcement, or as a doctor or a scientist, okay, or has a lot of family money that you could, or a mayor or something like that, but we'll just consider them in law enforcement and judges and things like that. So when they're calling someone else a witch, what they're really doing is tearing this person apart, not only from the inside out with their integrity. They're really causing physical violence. It's very serious. And they're justifying this physical violence by certain things that they're calling the rules of the church now. However they're doing that, okay? And so you obviously probably know the history that I do not, so I'd love to hear about that. But what happens is, in the basics of it, if you're going to go down to the root, is the ones who are attacking, the ones who are accusing, they are always causing fear in an innocent person. So when I started to write this down, and I was going to write Neighborhood Watch, and instead of the R at the end of neighbor, I wrote two O's. So it reminded me of boo. So boo and then hood. So these people keep themselves hooded or masked, so it's a group. So like, let's say you're a part of a church, and then you also are part of a town, and then everybody's supposed to follow a certain law or rule of the town. Well, all of a sudden you have hooded people coming into town that are hurting you. And I'm not just talking about they're writing you a parking ticket. I mean, they're really hurting you physically and tearing apart your family. Or first they start with your business, or this is physical violence, this is ripping apart of families, okay? And they justify this by some sort of rule that was established in the town by a church that is now the main law, okay? And then that could be whether you believed it or not, and whether you followed the law or not. So the main thing that they do here is they scare. And so you have no idea. You're being watched, but you also are innocent, but you don't know what's going to make this other person accuse you, because you feel like you're always being watched, okay? And this can come out of nowhere, someone accusing you of being a witch. There's so much history on witches, but you can really see the brutality. I mean, horror movies are a big thing right now, and people are really numb to watching this type of pain and torture. But if you can imagine that was yourself or someone you love, like that's scary to me, to see when no one has reaction to such horror like that. But these people that are on Neighborhood Watch are a group that has come into an area to change the rule, to change the law, and to tell someone who they are is not okay. And not only is it not okay, it's bad for everybody. So we have to get rid of you, okay? And then it's like, you're a witch. So that's just the basics of it. And these people that I'm going to call Neighborhood Watch are following, a part of history that they've changed. So it's confusing to people, because they're like, well, I believe this and I believe part of this and part of that, and now I'm confused. But they're using some kind of real part of history that was completely morphed and twisted to cause an extreme amount of fear. And it's a completely made up story. It's completely made up, and they come in through this Neighborhood Watch through all over. They're infiltrating somebody's home, somebody's land, somebody's environment, telling them that whoever they are is not okay. And that's happened every single forever, okay? So since things have been invaded. But so these specific Neighborhood Watch, they do belong to a church. They do follow some type of Bible, whichever one it is, whichever documents, whatever. And then they're in charge of all of the information. So somehow they are the rule makers, and they are the ones that are also carrying out the task of your punishment if you get accused. So you have no say. You are a complete slave to the Watchers. You don't want to be called out for something you're not doing, because they will die a horrific death and be torn away from your family. So it's really scary. So the main root of these people, the main seed is jealousy. So it's sadistic torture because they're extremely jealous of whoever they're invading and changing their lives entirely. And so these Neighborhood Watch are people that have decided their own little group, and it's a bunch of jealous people, okay? And so these jealous people don't want to, or like, there's too many of us, but hey, we can work together, so let's go in and hurt all these other people, okay? But you have to remember they're jealous. And then what are they jealous of? They're jealous of everything of this person and all of their family secrets and how this person lives. And so the jealousy is the main root cause of all fear and war and torture, because it's something that you feel that you are not, and that you do not understand. And that you want to not only, so you don't, it's like you can't appreciate what you don't understand. You want to get rid of it and then pretend you're them. So you don't want to, it's like they don't want to be you because they can't stand you. They just want everyone to see them instead of you. So that's really important to understand. So these types of people, they are just, they want to be seen in by everyone, and they want to be the best. So you have two different types. You have the jealous because they want to be in charge, whether out in the open or secretly. So back if you're going to talk about the beginning of the church all the way, and then you go medieval times, Victorian times, the Civil War, Hollywood, and then even now, where it's like catch them by the balls when wear the pants. You have everything from severe aggression, from role reversal, okay, and wanting to be in charge, to still that come and see me, I'm the best, don't notice them, I'm the best. So you have these groups, neighborhood watch, and they're jealous, okay, and they either want to be in charge and wipe you out, or they want to be seen instead of you and wipe you out. So you do have two different types of main groups of this neighborhood watch. Now, longer ago, when there were a lot more rules, placed on how women could behave in society, a lot of these women stayed quiet in the background, and they would feed on this sadistic torture, okay? The ones that they're attacking are these lively, beautiful people of the earth, love their families, love their traditions, love their cultures. And so it's like, well, what's your problem, okay? And so the ones that have the jealousy really feed on that. And a lot of times it's more focused on women if you're talking about beauty, okay? So you have women against women, but then you also have men when you're talking about skill and curiosity and ingenuity and things like that, and just really make a lot of other men who are lazy and small-minded feel jealous, all right? So if you're just talking about specifically how we've grown through time, then now you could still see it everywhere, but women are a little bit more equal and sometimes overpowering on gender roles, and it's a little bit harsh, it's a little bit aggressive, but you still have the jealousy, you still have look at me, and also really being harsh and ignoring anybody that is trying to be themselves. So you still have the same thing, it's just progressed over time, and you can see it everywhere. So it's certainly not hidden, and you have everything from the neighborhood watch are the same ones when you're talking about. Because the other day I did a reading and I had the Eight of Swords, but in the certain deck I was looking at, and I thought it was the Eight of Cups, and I still thinking about that card because it was almost like whoever is sending psychic attacks towards the innocent ones that they're calling witches and hurting, are not only sending these mental attacks towards someone to keep them trapped and alone, they are emotionally tied and invested to this because of how jealous they are. And they want to continue to push people away from anybody that is a creative being that is just trying to have their own dream and follow the law. Because if you're truly just following the law and you're sticking to yourself and you're just doing what you're supposed to, but then all of a sudden you're like, well, what's next? Well, you get a hobby, so then you start to learn a skill. And so if anybody sees this that you're doing and it activates their seed of jealousy, that root will certainly start to grow, and then you become their target. And so however word you're going to put it into context or whatever language, it's always the same everywhere. So you really do have, and I have never read the Bible, but you always have somebody who wants to take over and be in power. And then you have that jealousy, and then that turns into real sadistic torture, whether you can see it, because now there's ancient relics that have been found. So people study bones and then they study how someone has died, but also we've grown over the years, so now you have photographs and you have records of scientists and people who have been part of world wars and medical experiments that have been specifically and only designed to torture. So that would never be legal ever. It wouldn't matter what time you were alive. It would never be okay unless there was a group that came in and overpowered and said, this is what we're going to do now, and absolutely terrified everybody into following their new law. So those are the neighborhood watchers, okay? So you've got the main group of neighborhood watch, and then it's almost like so now we're in 2026, and you've got the bad bitch in reverse, okay? So this is where it's still jealousy, and now it's even still aggression, because we're built up in, like, you know, a lot of these sadistic torturers were housewives, or, you know, posed in the city as teachers, or, you know, in the church, and volunteered and did all the same. Like, meanwhile, they're sadistic torturers. Like, they've learned something. This comes down, it's like, it is learned, it is taught to you. They do want to earn something. I'm specifically seeing the Victorian era and 4 stars, and something that this female, it's a feminine, okay, because it is that way at that time, that they wanted to earn it, okay? So it's like, it's a quiet satisfaction, it's pure jealousy. They're not telling anyone like this. A lot of them don't wear makeup. You know, there's 2 different groups depending on what your religion is or whatever, okay? But like, your main thing is like, you want to fit in. You're really whatever the father says. You're very submissive, and and you know, you're this and you're that, and you're the martyr, and you're taking care of everything, but at the same time, you're a woman of God. It's very hard to explain, but at the same time, it's like, you're very quiet behind the scenes picking at someone, okay? And then now it's gotten, you know, and so this is learned through the church, and they do keep it kind of quiet. So like, you could still call it a group or a secret society, because this is taught to people. Because if you have the other ones, you know, you've got the people that are the neighborhood watch, and then you've got the neighborhood. So you do have to realize that there's the ones that are over here that are tricking, you know, the neighborhood into all being scared and following their different rules. But you've got the watchers up here. And then who's married to the watchers are the women, but the women are also the watchers. So it's like, you know, they're working together with their own sides. You know, and then they're jealous of different things, but it's something that eats them alive. It's just like, it really does. It's the root of jealousy. And so now you have 2026, and these bad bits. So you've got the, like, I wear the pants, like, a lot. Like, I'm hearing like men calling, or women specifically calling men her, and then she's taking on the gender role of him, which is really weird. But it's not just because, you know, I'm independent. It's more just like, it's my turn, and I'm taking all the secrets. Like, that's the vibe. And then you have like, I'm hot shit. It's like those are the common getters. And then it's like, look at me, look at me. And so it's like, they're also tired of being repressed. So it's like, they're really out in the open, and they're still gender reversing it, because it's like, they're everything. So this is a really extra. So these are the neighborhood watchers, okay? And because these like, the common getters are like, they're like, I'm the best, I'm the winner, look at me. They're very, very concerned about anybody else that they feel threatened by, what has to do with creativity or style. It could be being a parent, it could be anyone at your workplace, you know, especially if you have your own business. And so your competitors are extra jealous. I mean, and you have everything from, so I mean, this goes over from stealing, in secret and doing creepy things through the church, to all the way now, and now you have like people still taking family secrets and then pretending like, I mean, I'm seeing so many different things, like a lot of especially in this year right now, like 2026, you have a lot of younger women who are stealing from their parents, stealing family secrets from their fathers, like their parents. So these are the come getters, okay? They do trick. They do, sometimes they even drug their parents. I mean, and it's like, wait, what about me? They do really creepy stuff, okay? And then that's probably a lot of the same. I mean, the people that were getting accused back then, they stuck to themselves. So you have this other weird group, and it's like, sometimes when you go to a church group or whatever, you're like, oh my God, I have a headache and I have social anxiety and all kinds of stuff. You're like, how are they so happy? And it's like, because they're taking like weird sex drugs. Like, they're being super creepy. And like, this is a dry party and I'm gonna shoot myself. And then I find out like they're being on some weird creep shit. So you can't blame anyone for being stressed out at a dry party. It's really, and I wouldn't, but you know what I'm saying? It's just like an analogy. I wouldn't really. So don't take this literal. This is just for entertainment purpose only. But I'm just saying, they're on some weird creep shit. This is really gross. And they're still doing all kinds of witchcraft stuff. Okay, so that the ones who are accusing people of doing it are the ones doing it, and that's really important to remember. So I was just specifically talking about neighborhood watch today. Okay, so I don't even know. All right, I'm just gonna pull some cards now because I knew I was supposed to kind of explain that, but specifically I'm talking about women today. This is specific about secrets that they've stolen through many different secret societies now. So it's really branched off. Oh, this is kind of like the divide and how it got spread. Okay, so first you have like elite people, because if you're talking way back, the church comes, people get separated, blah blah blah, and now you have like really rich families, and you're back in the town. So you have everything from, you have really rich family societies that have different secrets that have over time, this is 2026, through Hollywood, where you have the whole catching a rabbit thing, and secret societies through there. And then now it's like back in through your downlines, back into small town neighbors that should honestly have no purpose through that, like at all. Like nobody ever should have done this, but let's be real, this is where it's at. So now you have your like towny DIY come together with your information that you got from your mentor, that you're a socialite, you know, that was, it's like historic from a church that was passed down from your great ancestors. Okay, all because your daughter, your rich little bitch daughter, came in and drugged you and then got into your stuff and made copies of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like that is where we're at right now, where how real secrets have been passed down, and they're back into making voodoo dolls and baking things. You got your kitchen witches again, and then creating all kinds of scary. They're the ones who are writing your obituary while you know you're still at Sunday church. Then all of a sudden you got a stomach ache the next day, you know, and oh my gosh, let me bring over a pie, make you feel better. It's a poison, okay? So you still have that. You have it right out in the open. Everyone's like, you're bad, bitch. And then you have it really, really quiet. But they're still obsessed with the sadistic torture. They want people to feel in pain. This specific group that is spreading wants people to feel in extreme pain. So now you're even into the hospital system where it's like they will not give you a painkiller. They will not give you anesthesia. Like they will not administer any kind of anything that will give you type of peace or relaxation or ability to thrive, because they want to take you down no matter what. Like this is a very sick, sadistic torture. Like some people, if you know what I'm talking about, you could call it maybe they're possessed, some type of possession. Like this is the darkest of the dark. And especially right now, like these people, because you got like, because I'm seeing like this one right here, is almost like my dad is rich, I'm an heiress, and he told me this on a fishing trip, but now I'm like learning all the things about oak wood and the smell of his sweater and all of his other stuff, so I can like tell you about his family business, and now I can impersonate everything and take over. And then this one over here is like, you know what, I can do that. I'm gonna like switch into roles. It's like I honestly don't know what it is, but there's something about like women and young girls trying to attack their elder that is a male. And they're like making up stories about, I remember all this time I spent with grandpa and blah 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 blah, and like they never did that, and they're not the one that's the executor on the will. You know what I mean? Like they're not supposed to be running the estate. Like something's going on with that. And then you've got like all kinds of things. I mean, you could have these ones over here, what I call them softball twists. They're like really aggressive, but also they don't have that many brain cells. But maybe grandpa had a farm, you know, and they live in a small town, and all of a sudden they're like, I can do this. And they start taking over like real family. Like I'm talking about real family stuff, okay? Because they've got this information now of like witchcraft and changing your memory and doing all this weird stuff. And I don't know if the cards are going to come out because I'm almost already 25 into just the talk. But then don't forget, you have the opposite side. And I'm just going to call that, I don't even know, did I decide to call him that? We could call him Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, okay? That's the other side. So if like in traditional times over here, you have, you know, men and women roles. Over, you know, you've got the neighborhood watch as the big triangle. Well, over here it's like I'm a bad bitch, and then over here you've got Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and that can be male or female, okay? But specifically, mostly these are female or like LGBTQ. They don't identify, and they're just like they them. I'm just gonna be serious. I'm not saying everybody. I'm just saying over here. And then over here, like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, this is still a lot of, these are professionals, these are law enforcement, and these are people who work like in the medical community and things like that. And that's where they're changing things with science and medical care and laws, and they're still feeding on sadistic torture, but jealousy is the root of it. And it could be anything from like white supremacy, it could be anything from feeling repressed of any culture, period. It could be feeling like it's my time. Like there's a lot of that like over ego stroking on somebody who has not earned whatever they're expecting. So they get people through, weird little pick it and spin it and contests and things like that. And then they stroke their egos because they know their wounds. I mean, there are different levels of intelligence here. And then it's really easy to get someone and be like, you know what, just because they wanted, to win like a hibiscus flip-flop cruise, something weird, okay? And all of a sudden they sold grandpa's farm and like killed grandpa. It's like really weird. But that's the kind of stuff they're doing. Or they're stitching up like in fibers and doing weird little tracing things like paper dolls in addition to sewing dolls and all kinds of creepy things to steal beauty and youth and creativity from somebody across the street, or even somebody now over here that had this information that now their family is really wealthy. It could potentially even be in Hollywood. Well, you got Susie down the street who's just a jealous whatever, that she's still a hometown girl and now knows, she wants to be on her own show and write her own book. Like, this serious. So anyways, ugh. So I don't even know if it's going to come out about Dr. and Jekyll, Mr. Hyde's right now, but I was specifically feeling a group of women, specifically like the Neighborhood Watch, because it's the jealous groups combined with this witchcraft that they were honestly supposed to keep secret and in the family, and then now it has spread out back to hometowns. And if I'm serious when I was talking about levels of intelligence, when you have to think about the decisions that people are gonna make, and how it's gonna affect everybody, even way at the top whose information was stolen. So let's see what this is. And I have the Two of Pentacles, the Devil, and the Eight of Cups. I mean, it's like I really do feel like there's a lot of trickery, and almost like maybe now when you're watching this, a lot of elders are catching on because okay, let's imagine you really do have real stuff from the churches that were kept secret, or real artifacts or real secrets that have happened over history that people obviously are being held, back from the real truth of the information. Whatever's happened, it's like somebody has gotten in the way, and I honestly feel like this is the younger generation. It could be somebody older who didn't want to get younger, because it could be men or women, but I'm specifically thinking women that are sucking the youth out of younger women. And so if they knew how to do this, they would keep it quiet, because that's what they do. It's like you suck the life out of your prey, and then you just leave them alone after that, because you can only get so much. But then now it's happened because the greed is so heavy, and the people that they're sucking from are truly very powerful at this point, because the more that you're trying to attack them, the stronger they're getting trying to survive. So that's, the more upset you're trying to get. So like the attacks are coming now more in the open. People are getting more desperate. They're more sloppy. And so that's really going to affect anybody that's passed over this information over time into everybody, because they were in a hurry, or they really just like, it's not working. You could be in a hurry for many different reasons, but now, so this, I don't know, they're creating this, like, yes, they create this little song and dance. It could be anything from a pity party, like, oh, poor me, to some sort of distraction where they're getting in your way, and it's a real mind F, and you're like, what? I didn't get it, because what comes before the Eight of Cups is the Seven, and that's a lot of sometimes illusion and confusion if it's done by somebody with evil intent. And so, it feels like whoever was creating this illusion over here is now trying to hide. Okay, and it could be male or female. It could be, people who are trapped that are trying to escape whatever happened and how they're involved. Because this person here, it feels like an accomplice. Let me be honest. Like, these ones trying to escape, and then it's almost like I'm getting the feeling like every man for themselves for some reason. Even it's like, hey, we did this together, and then they're like, well, we weren't completely decided on it. Like, we didn't tell you, you were gonna get this, and this, and they're like, hey, wait a minute. That's the feeling I'm getting now. So maybe if you're watching this, or maybe what's gonna happen soon, is that it kind of feels like they're trying to escape. And I do feel like I wonder if there's going to be more, like, yeah, like on the bottom of the deck, I have the, yeah, for sure. I'm just pulling the cards off as they were on the bottom of the deck, but it feels like a lot of people are, as they escape, as they're released, like as this comes down, are going to feel, like they're feeling alone. Like, hey, wait, now we all have to go and hide. I didn't know what I was getting into, because this is serious. Not only did they not know spiritually what they were getting into, they did not realize that this was eventually going to balance itself out and catch up with the law, and that they would eventually lose everything as well. So like, I sense a lot of hiding here because they are scared. They're scared of the law. Like, they're realizing, if you're watching this and you're hearing me and it's resonating, they're realizing this is real spiritually as well. And if you attack someone like that, like they honestly own you. Like that is the reversal of the thread. Because if you really truly send someone that many negative attacks and energy and betrayal, that is also attached to you. So I do think that they're realizing, like, I have no idea how to spiritually protect myself. Like, I'm not talking about anyone that knows any type of way yet. I'm not talking about the person being attacked right now. I'm talking about the attackers, okay? So they don't even know how. This specific group of neighborhood watch, it's you. Because usually if you have these other spiritualists that are in on it and attacking, the innocent person, they are doing it in silent. Like, they're like, really, we don't communicate. So yeah, I'm not talking about them right now. This is more just like a DIY gone wrong, or a country clip art. Okay, so you're talking about like the church people, and then other people in town that are like their runners, that have extra aggression. They're like, it's my turn, I'm running my town, grab them by the ballot type of thing. So I don't know, that's the vibe that I'm getting right now. And they're also super jealous small towns, so they don't want anyone creative coming around them. And this is the same thing as over here too. And that's why it's like, they're a witch. And you're like, excuse me? So that's the thing. So now the ones that are going to get caught here are feeling completely scared, I would say, as in what's going to happen next. I feel like a what is going to happen next type of feeling is really serious, because they stole, like, whatever this is. Not only did they steal from their family members, people, this type of information is serious. Like, this can either make or break the planet, that we either are going to exist or not going to exist. So their family members, judges, lawmakers, people who are supposed to be in charge of protecting, if you go into your certain safes or things, check to see if anything has been stolen, because there is real evidence, and these people are sloppy, because they got away with something where they feel untouchable. I'm going to be honest, because it's something that has to do with witchcraft and voodoo and changing people's perception and then manipulating people. I mean, it really does have something to do with the church and the Bible. So it is attached to real energy, and these are things that are supposed to be protected. So it does feel like, if you're watching, you might be getting scared. Like, if you're watching and you are someone who stole something, or you are someone who are doing these attacks, like, I would honestly ask, like, people, like let me see your Bible, let me see your workbook or something. Like, these are people who are supposed to be, it's like, whatever they're doing, they're leading a double life, okay? That's all I'm trying to say. And it's something that it's like not even what they're taught. Because I'm seeing families that were like, you know better than this, because they stole from their family. Because it's like, it's my turn, and I don't think so, Grams, and then, That's what I'm seeing. And then they're using older stuff where they were really truly able to hurt people. Okay. So I don't know, that's just what I'm seeing. And it feels like they're starting to get scared. So I don't know. I'm looking at this Modern Weaver card. I think it's fabric. So I would definitely check Natural Life and Temu and like your fabric. Because I do feel like there's a lot of allergies and that stuff right now. And you just need to make sure if you're sensitive to that or not. Because we were still talking about witchcraft. And they're so jealous of you. They're going to try to take you down any way that they possibly can. Okay, I do feel like there might be an emperor or a boss or an elder possibly watching, which is hopefully good news. And yeah, I would definitely say that if that was the case, whoever did this is scared. Because if this is true, and if you're watching this, and if you have stuff that you're supposed to protect, because only you and a certain group of elite people who have earned it know how to use it and know when to use it, and also know it's supposed to be protected. If that is missing in any way or is damaged or tampered with, please go to the person that has been in there last, that has talked to you last, because you know that this is serious information and you have been tricked. And the saddest part of this is like, this is what breaks my heart, is like, this is family. This is people that are supposed to be trusted. And that's why it's so scary when it's a lot of younger people doing this. And a lot of families, I mean, you can talk about over the last 1,000 years, but especially the last 100 or 200 years, if you talk to your elder, they're going to probably say they regret not teaching you family tradition. Because now that we're here, you have so many people like this creepy plastic clip art. Nothing is beautiful, nothing is sacred, and nothing is protected. And they don't effing care about anything. At least over here, it's like they were trying to earn some weird stars through the Bible or something, and it is sadistic and it is torturous. There's many different levels of those types of women, and I'm specifically talking about your daughters, okay? And then, but now it's like they just want to win a prize through a video game, or yeah, it's like going and getting one of those stuffed animal claw things. You're like, are you kidding me? So that's really scary for family members that will be finding out that a lot of their belongings have been stolen and tampered with. Because I just cut this deck here and I got Death and the Ten of Swords. And it's like the Nine of Swords, you're worrying, okay? Because you're like, here it comes. Well, like the Ten of Swords truly is the death, okay? And it's like that's what it feels like is happening to elders, you know? I don't want to talk about the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde yet, but then you could definitely continue to look up your results that you've gotten from certain tests that you've performed on any patients with potential Alzheimer's or dementia. So that's serious. And I mean, and this definitely has to do with witchcraft and making sure somebody is forgotten forever. So that's why it's so scary when it branches off because the root is jealousy, and because it's like jealousy is so serious because it's like they end up wanting to cause you extreme pain. And not only do they want to cause you extreme pain from every single angle, they want to make sure that you're forgotten about for all time. That nobody knows who you are. Nobody remembers you, anything about you, you know? And if they're going to remember you, then this person is going to make sure that they remember a lie. That you're completely defamed, and whatever anybody reads in a history book is that you are this terrible, awful person. Because this magician here, this person who stole everything, wants to run their own story. And in that story, you have been forgotten about. They didn't talk about your Eight of Pentacles. They stole it before you could even make it. And they want to make sure that you're totally alone forever and that nobody remembers you, period. And forget spirit, there's no such thing as even that, right? So It's really sick, and the worst part, this is on the bottom of the deck, the worst part is it affects your family every single generation after generation after generation. And a lot of these are really important families. So it's like you are obviously your descendants, like the information that you stole from your dad or your grandpa or your great uncle or the judge or whoever was very serious information for your family. And a lot of these people, migrate and end up living together. And then, a lot of people, 50 to 100 years ago, they're having like 15 kids, okay? So it's like half your neighbors might be your cousins. So if you have you live in a county or a city where a lot of you are technically related, and then all of a sudden you're the social experiment with whatever's dropped off at your store, then that could potentially be making you sick. So that is serious. Now, all of a sudden, you talk about nepotism, okay? And who owns your company now, and what's in the food, and who runs the business. That's very serious if they're all of a sudden attached to this witchcraft now. And if you get attached to witchcraft, you are allowed to claim insanity, okay, and money, because that's serious. If you're attached to this witchcraft, you're honestly becoming insane. You're a sadistic torturer. It excites you to see these other people in the Ten of Swords, dead by betrayal, over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, okay? It's very, it's as worse as you could get it. And as somebody's being slowly poisoned or slowly sick or slowly confused, they're smiling in your face. And you're like, holy F, this person is crazy. And they like to hurt your children. Something about hurting the innocence in you, like literally taking everything you love so that your heart is always broken. And especially like when you're talking about the neighborhood watch, it's like these people have something to lose. Not only their own lives, but they have families. So it's really, really scary for anybody that's just trying to follow the law. And then all of a sudden it's like they're calling out witches, and they're stealing everybody's money, and they're putting everybody into cages. And so you have to wonder why. And what did they do to you? What are you so afraid of that's making everybody else afraid? That doesn't make any sense, So honestly, it's very logical, but everybody's confused for some reason. And there's a ton of ones, again, I get this like every day, but it's like, I still don't get it. It's like they're trying to hollow out these certain families and people from the inside out, so that they have no peace, they have no rest. They're always exhausted. They're all alone, and it's like they can never have their stability. It's like they're always carrying the sticks and the tools to so it's like they might be carrying the supplies to build a home. They might be carrying the tools to learn a craft. They're just looking for safety still, and somewhere to set down their home. So it's like they're always on the run for no reason. Not only on the run, they're in extreme pain because you stole everything from them. You're not giving them any help whatsoever. It's completely backwards. It's just completely backwards, especially when you take all their money. And then when I was writing down neighborhood watch and I accidentally wrote neighborhood, it's like they scare you and then they smile. So it's like when you get scared and when you lose everything, like when you're this sick, like when you're on the brink of death, it excites them. And it's the day by day, the little poison by little, the losing everything and then watching you struggle. It's like every day they get excited about that. It's attached to the witchcraft. I mean, it's attached to whatever the stealing is from a person from a distance, and then because that's the quiet sick torture at first. Then they go through the law, because then they're going through the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, where it's like the complete mind confusion again. Where like you broke the law, and you're like, I didn't break the law, but then you have to pay for a crime you didn't commit. And on top of that, it could be through the medical system, it could be through the law system, it could be them doing something with your children, anything that you want to say no to that you feel like you have no say. And it's really, really scary. It's like the whole thing. And so it's like as they watch your home fall apart or they watch you get sick, they're still smiling. So it's like they can never get enough from every single angle. And then they're mad. They're like, how can she look so good through this torture? And so they're just so mad. They want to tear down everything that you have. It's really, really, really specifically to tear down the happiness of another person, just to make sure that they don't have anything beautiful of their own, which is the weirdest thing because it's only attached to jealousy. That's it. Because if you were bartering goods and services and everybody could work for something and do anything, then everybody would have that opportunity to have their own little space. So it's all, if it's all the little piggies go off and build their own homes, and then a handful of them are just too lazy to even choose a home, they'd rather steal someone else's. I mean, that is just what it is. And then you have a couple really, really mean ones that scared enough people into just continuing it along. Which is so sad. And it's always the good people that they do this to. It's always the ones who figure it out, who have a dream, and who work for it, and who honestly are like, hey man, let's be cool. And that's going to piss someone off who's really, really jealous. And they're just going to try to steal everything. And then they get the women involved because they're also jealous. So it's really easy for some reason to get people to sign up for this thing. And it's just, and anybody that wants to help, like once they find out that they signed up for something bad, they're already trapped into something. Especially so if they're using witchcraft, they're using a type of binding to this person. So again, it's double-sided. It's something energetic and binding, very, very real, attached to your everyday living, the structure and law and what people can remove from you, like your money, your children, your home, fire you from your job or something like that. And you still have, this is on top of that, you still have the neighborhood watch, which is the Page of Swords. And you have them everywhere. And it's like, they're so aggressive. You're like, what is your problem? They're like freaking mean to you for no reason. Like, I just met you. Like, you have a chip on your shoulder. Like, you can't stand me for no reason. And it's like, they really can't. And so it's like, you can see, you have this person, this Nine of Pentacles, and it's almost like, I don't know. They don't want her to be independent. They don't want her to be a family. And all of a sudden, the boat's on fire. And there's just a bunch of henchmen just watching. It's like, I don't know. And then, because you had this watcher be like, go do it now. So it's just, I don't know. It's really creepy how they even have people who do that. And it's like they do it to people who are right on the brink of something, right on the brink of finishing a project, especially if you sign up for a DIY and you're taking this bigger, because there are a lot of big families involved. And you've got people doing DIY for fabric companies, design companies, any kind of style company, entertainment, anything like that. Well, it's obviously monopolized, but there's millions, billions of people. So anything that you want to learn, if you share your ideas, if you show your works in progress, I mean, you're going to get slaughtered. And it's really, really sad because this is your second income on top of your first income. And it was only a hobby to begin with. And you don't even have the time to study your hobby or practice because you already have to earn a first income. And if you're a single person, especially a single parent, that's virtually impossible. And then they tell you to do it on your own, but if you have no support. And then you ask every single person, what's your secret? I had support. And you're like, what the? Mm-hmm. And then you come to find out your mentors and the people that you signed up to do their DIY, they're stealing from you. And now all then you're the target, and all of a sudden they're making voodoo weirdo stuff on you. It's crazy because they're like, oh yeah, and there's no way that one's coming up. And it gets super creep. Yeah, like they seriously want to send you away packing. And before, like, there's different levels of it. Like, they want you to have, like, a new life, start over, disappear, and vanish. So they suck everything dry from you and just let you move on. But where we are now with certain types of people, their witches or your attackers will not let you go. And that's why they've brought in a lot of, like, stuffed animals, sewing things, dolls. A lot of times with the stuffed animals and dolls from Victorian times and in the church, they make the doll and they keep the doll and they can always smile at the doll and do weird little things just to keep the satisfaction that you're going to be unhappy. Okay, so I can see a woman who lived in town, small town I grew up in, and she's looking in the mirror pretending to be another woman in town from the same church as her. Okay, and the woman looking in the mirror has dark hair and her initials are SB, and she's looking at another person. I don't know if it's KZ or something like that. The first name I don't know for sure, but she's looking at, it's like she even has, like, in her mirror, it's a vanity, it's a brown vanity with a mirror, and it has sort of a shape. It's not a square. It's not an oval. But she's looking in the mirror. She's brushing her hair. And in the mirror, so there's a spot between the wood and the vanity in the mirror. You could stick a photograph. She has photographs of all the same woman. Okay, she has photographs of her when she was younger, and she has photographs of her when she was kind of like in her teen age. And because this has progressed over. Okay, so we're talking about, this is like the more over here types. Like she probably has some sort of things that she's been keeping since maybe childhood. Like she probably grew up with this other woman, and now they're women. So she's got this blonde-haired woman and pictures of her in her vanity mirror from different ages. And now also these pictures are significant because the pictures are of people when they worked really hard to achieve something. Like when I found some of my photos that were put in some kind of weird witchcraft thing, there were photos of me like I had just run a marathon, I was exhausted. Or like photos of me in my art, like photos of me where I had like put everything into anything I was doing. And some people say like photos of your primes, like the ones that are attacking you, they're going to put a photo of themselves, whichever photo they think they look the best in. Okay. But I'm getting, so like if you find their journals or their scrapbooks or things like that, they probably have like a weird random photo of a friend that they were kind of a mean girl to that looks really pretty in it. And you might even find handwriting on it. You might find marks on that woman's face, things like that. But I can specifically see a woman, I know who she is, pretending to be another woman in town in her mirror. And so this is like a small town thing that she's learned over time. Like she learned it through her family, she learned it through her church. This is something that I found in my basement that they're doing. So they can take a picture of a celebrity and do that too, or they can just take a picture of somebody from their town and do that too. So they're doing witchcraft through the Bible to that person to send negative attacks. And then if they're lucky enough, if they can get enough people on their side to not like the woman they're attacking, then that's when they can get the law involved. And all of a sudden start ruining their life in front of everybody else. So their stability is completely destroyed from everybody's, like everybody can see it now. And so they do this to men and they do this to women. So yeah. I don't know for sure. I know one person's initials for sure. That's not her maiden initials. Those are her married initials. Yeah, and it's like, this is something that they really don't talk about it except for their little friend groups. Like this is passed down through the family. I'm serious. And it's like sisters of the, sisterhood or whatever. It's something like that. Like they make a little pact, they make a secret. And especially in the town that I grew up with, because I am going through the same issue. And I also found the proof in my basement. So I know what they do. And then it's like, so then my family, and then it's like, I have a sister, so then she spread that to her little mean girlfriends. That's why now you've got the Psycho Sally Hansons. And so you got a bunch of different groups now, and they're, the rainbow traps. They're trying to be like hairstylists and fishermen's daughters, and like create all these weird stories about their ancestors that are not true. On top of, you got the bad bees who have no idea what they're talking about and think they're hush and they're not, and they look like the fools. So that's what I'm saying. Anybody that grew up in the church is like, look, you're about to have your fucking tongue cut out for what you're doing. They're like, what do you mean? Double nothing. It's really scary because a lot of these women were like, it's my turn, and now they want their own business and their own DUI and like decoupage and cricket and candle business, and they got sloppy and they're all out in the open everywhere. And so a lot of people that are honestly older, they're probably looking at these new ones like, what are you doing? Now we're all going to be caught for every single crime that we have ever committed. So that's serious. Yeah, they usually attack somebody who is vulnerable and sensitive because it's like they trap children as well. They're stealing innocence. They're stealing youth. I mean, because they're jealous. Because not all church girls have to do that. You really don't. So, I don't know. I mean, there's lots to talk about. I think I'm going to probably have to cut that short because I'm getting kind of on time. But also they make sure, this is pretty significant. I have the Knight of Cups, the Knight of Pentacles, and then the Page of Wands to the Five of Swords. So the mean girls, like in the church group, they want to really make sure, so I'm specifically talking about if they're women, like she's a witch or whoever they're calling, even if it's a man, they want to make sure, because this is the Five of Swords again, they're really spiteful, they're really mean, they're jealous for no reason. And it's like, that's why I'm saying sadistic. Like they get aggressive for no no reason. And that's why you can say possession. Like, what made you do this? And like insanity. I honestly don't know what took over, because that's still something that most people have not figured out that do not perform witchcraft. Like, how could you do this? And it's like, if you're gonna talk about, are you on drugs? Well, I would look up mollies and rabies, man. Or like, it's like some kind of like ecstasy type of drug or something. Check that with rabies, like something ridiculous. Because it's making people so aggressive for no reason at an innocent person, where you're like, whoa, man, like chill. Because they're running their mouths, like the rumors are out of control. It just, and they're physically like and spiritually blocking people from making any progress, especially if you're talking about, I mean, you have the cups, the pentacles, and the wands, and the people in the way are the swords, like causing extreme havoc, running their mouths. And like, this is just like a mean-spirited person who didn't have that idea. Like, as you can see, this person is on a love and creative quest, okay? This person is building a business or on some kind of a way to learn something that's really serious, but they're already on their horse, they're ready to go. And here they are stopped on mission, but they can't go anywhere. Like, they're walking now all of a sudden. So it's like, however they're getting there, they're trying to get there, but it is moving slow. But you have this person in the way that's just like fighting. You're like, you just stole my horses, you just stole my dreams, you just stole my ideas, and like, now I can't say anything about it. Because you like to run your mouth because you're watching me from behind the bushes or something. Or also, and that wasn't me. Like, you're all wearing hoods. Who's under the hoods? Like, you are. Like, actually wasn't there. So I mean, that gets really creepy. I know a lot of people are like, who do I trust? There's so many secrets. And I know. And I really don't know how to explain that any better. And hopefully there's some people that can put down their swords and be more of detectives and just try to restore the truth about this weird mean girl witchcraft group. And it's honestly mixed with a mean, sciencey, spiteful guy group, okay? It doesn't matter like what your sexual preferences or anything like that. It's just specific groups of people that are jealous that came together to stop anybody creative from making anything or anybody from falling in love. And those are your two things. It doesn't really matter what somebody looks like or how old they are. They just don't want them to be happy, and they don't want them to make anything cool because they don't want anyone else to be like, wow, that was neat. Because the common getter's like, look at me. And then everyone else is like, I want to make the rules. How dare you? And at the same time, they're smiling because they like hurting people. That's why it's so dangerous. It's like, I get it, you're a mean girl, go cry in your bedroom. But that's not how it's going down. They're actually hurting people. So anyways, I still hope that I have people working, or I hope that I get some people that are working to try to solve this. But I also do know that it feels like and sounds like there are people that know what I'm talking about. I know that this stuff is forbidden, but it did exist, and that hopefully can find some proof and can shut this down, because we do have a law and we are supposed to follow it. And if you broke the law because you were jealous and started a side group, well, you still broke the law. You can call that a religious group if you want, but you still broke the law. So please do remember that. And there is proof of this. So I do hope, I mean, I'm not a lawmaker, and I'm not a judge, but if somebody asked me what your punishment would be, I would say, please let it fit the crime, and I would consider all factors into that and your ignorance level. And if you were being poisoned or not, I'm really being serious. If you give someone an allergy to the point where they cannot think straight, then they are now being poisoned. And that is a type of witchcraft. If you're really scientisty and realistic and you want to talk like that, you can just lead with that, okay, in your meeting. So if you make someone so sick to the point where they can't focus, that is a type of mind manipulation, body manipulation, and tortured focus, or focused torture, or however you want to say it. And then that's when you expect them to be at their best, when it's like, obviously, you know, that they could not possibly perform. And then you made them sign something or agree to something when they were not knowledgeable of the full situation. And so that is also a crime. Okay, so anyways, have a good day. Talk to you soon, I hope.